Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is an urgent goal for the entire iron and steel industry. I would like to note that the steps we have already taken will enable MMK to reduce its carbon dioxide emissions to 2 tons per ton of steel by the end of 2021. This figure is better than that of the largest Russian mining and steel companies. But as early as by 2025, we plan to reduce this figure by another 10% to 1.8 tons of CO2 per ton of steel, which today is better than the global average, according to the World Steel Association.
In order to remain with the Paris Agreement of a 1.5 degrees Celsius increase above the pre-industrial age, we would have to, as a global industry, follow the sustainable development scenario. You can see that there is quite a big difference between the reference scenario and the sustainable development scenario. And that means that in all industries, power industry, the industry, production industry, transport, and everyone will have to reduce their CO2 emissions. But as you can see, the expectation here is that the transport industry and the production industry will find it relatively difficult, according to the IEA, to reduce their CO2 emissions. And therefore, the pressure is more on other sectors to try and reduce CO2 emissions.
Hydrogen production and distribution, though we have various options available in the world, like natural gas reforming, gasification, producing synthesis gas, electrolysis process, renewable liquid reforming, fermentation for the biofuel and the producing hydrogen to the biofuel. Then high temperature water splitting is another process. Then we have photoelectric cells available in the world, and where we can definitely work as to how to produce hydrogen and how to utilize hydrogen. Hydrogen distribution, currently hydrogen is distributed through 3 methods. One is pipeline, the other is high pressure tube trailers, and which is very common. The common process is pipelines. Hydrogen production through solar, that is a green hydrogen. This is the talk of the world now. SSAB Sweden and many other companies, they are working together, and so are the other companies in the world. Rightly said by Mr. Powell in his speech today morning from MMK, they are also working in similar technologies, and also highlighted by Dr. Edwin that the world steel industry is working together. It may be a journey, it may be a long journey. Maybe next 10 to 15 years time, we'll be in a position to reduce CO2 emission through this hydrogen technology. Solar energy is a potential, the most abundant renewable energy in the world or in the universe. Reaching to its hydrogen production via electrochemical water splitting is a promising approach for storing solar energy. Hydrogen generation via solar water splitting represents a promising solution to these challenges.
China's energy crunch. I think everybody is aware of what's happening currently in China with coal, thermal coal production and imports. So we have a spike in price on the coal side there. On thermal coal, you can see on this, the graph on the left-hand side, coal mining is out of sync with power consumption currently in China, and on the chart on the right-hand side there, you can see the steel moving downward, steel production moving downward, less exports of steel certainly going hand in hand with the energy crunch that's happening in China. Start diving a little bit further into freight market here. So this talks a little bit about congestion. Everyone's been hearing about the congestion in the container market, as I said earlier, at LA Long Beach on the container ships. However, the congestion at Chinese ports for the bulk carriers, bulk ships going in, has been a significant element in what we've seen in the market, driving up freight costs. So here in this chart, you could see total tonnage sitting offshore in China waiting to go in and discharge. So more waiting time offshore in 2021 in the past few years. That's a direct consequence of the pandemic, prevention, and steps along with quarantine periods and associated staff shortages. Certainly, this is taking ships out of the market and driving up freight costs on the bulk side.
Thank you very much. The first thing is which kind of hydrogen? Hydrogen, brown or green? That we have to define. So if we go for green hydrogen, that means green electricity. Green electricity means we have to either use hydro, or we have to use solar, or we have to use wind. And partly we can also think for the nuclear, but nuclear is not a very much appreciated nowadays in the world because of the safety reasons, though it has very good track record. But nuclear science can also produce green hydrogen through the green electricity. But let us keep the nuclear science separately, and we take three methods. One is hydro, the other is wind energy, and third is the solar energy. So first of all, these three areas are to be fully exploited in the world. Now, point number two, which year we can produce 100 million ton through the green energy, the steel. I think this is going to take at least 2035 to 2040, because unless we bring hydrogen at a price of less than $1 per gallon, we cannot compete with the coal energy. And the moment we do it, we bring it to level about $1, then I think we can definitely produce green steel through green energy, green hydrogen. So this is my view.
As we've highlighted, there are numerous evaluations being done at the moment, and on a technological basis, it is becoming quite clear that the steel industry can move quite a long distance towards net zero. For the moment, it is not completely possible to get to net zero, but the last 150 to 200 kilograms per ton of steel we can always take care of by way of carbon capture and storage, and that then brings us to a net zero solution. There's no single one-size-fits-all solution currently that is going to take the steel industry and all steel producers in the same way closer to net zero. As Mr. Sharma has shown, as the presentation from Russia have shown, there are different approaches, and the approaches at the moment depend on what existing technologies are installed, what is the energy supply routes in your specific area of location, and these all determine what would be the final solution that you as a producer would need to employ to get closer to net zero.